In today's video, I present you with my review on Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. As a longtime fan of the series, having owned every PS1 and PS2 game in the US, when I had heard about Suikoden 1 and 2 getting remastered, my 32-bit nipples immediately started tingling with excitement, and especially more so after learning they were to be released on my birthday. Now that's how you start a review. Let's just say I'm familiar with these two games, and I'm eagerly looking forward to playing them and finding out just what Konami has done with these outstanding RPGs. I will give it my best to cover as much as I can based on what I remember, alongside any noticeable differences or improvements. Fair warning, if you plan on 100%ing both of these games, you're going to need to follow a guide so you don't miss anything, because there are some spots where you can ruin your chances of obtaining every character if you're not paying attention. Otherwise, if this is your first time playing, feel free to play at your own pace if you plan on playing again down the road. Just keep in mind that if sharing your save data from the first game when starting a new game in Suikoden 2, it will introduce you to a nice surprise if you have met certain criteria in Suikoden 1. As far as I understand, you are not required to have all 108 stars of destiny to be able to do this, yet there is at least one character you need alive in order to receive an additional item. That's all you get out of me in terms of what I might consider a spoiler. Alright, let's jump into this. In Suikoden 1, you play as a young man who is the son of a great general under the rule of an oppressive emperor. In due time, you and those close to you set out on a journey of hardship which forces open the door of discovering the true meaning of friendship as you learn how to quell the evil behind this empire. In Suikoden 2, you play as a young man who is a soldier in a great army. With the whispers of a peace treaty on the wind, you and Jowie, your good friend, are ready to be done with war. However, things take a turn for the worse as your encampment comes under attack, unexpectedly forcing you and Jowie to separate, only to meet later under intriguing circumstances. In both games, you will learn what it takes to gather people to fight by your side, and in the process build up an area of operations, all the while growing in strength and in numbers. This HQ can be upgraded as more and more people join your cause, bringing to the table their own unique abilities and stories, as well as surprises along the way. So the most obvious change is the graphics, which I believe they have done a decent job on. In fact, it looks downright beautiful, to be honest. Towns pop with crisp detail, and even the overworld is a joy to behold. You just can't help but appreciate what's here. Even the character sprites look fantastic, with no major changes other than looking a little sharper. Each one is vibrant, with color that pops right off the screen. The animation is on point, just as you would expect, with nothing out of place. Rest assured, your memories of these fine folks are safe. When it comes to the character portraits found in menus and dialogue boxes, they are truly quite the impressive pieces of art. I am more than pleased with seeing the familiar faces of people I had been introduced to so long ago in a new light. I am definitely impressed with the efforts made here. One thing I do wish Konami would have kept in place was the font from the original games. I feel as though it lines up better with the retro aesthetic. However, the font used here doesn't look bad. All in all, Konami truly did a fantastic job with the graphical presentation. Sometimes a remaster only needs some minimal work to make it shine bright in a world full of failed attempts of reintroducing us to games we love so much. The simplicity of this type of beauty is an understatement. Almost each and every character has some relative importance in both adventures, which can cause you to become invested in who they are. These are not simply throwaway individuals stuffed into these games as filler material. The ones with backstories are well written into the experience, and even minor characters have some sort of depth that plays some role in the advancement of your end goal, even if along the way they don't seem all that substantial at first. You can expect to find a true sense of friendship with some, layers of betrayal in others, and possibly get a kick out of those who display downright strange or unexpected personalities. Some of the characters you can add to your party have their own style, or type of attack or ability unique to only them. All have their place on the battlefield, but some are more effective depending on placement in the party. For instance, it will be very beneficial if you know who is meant for long, medium, and short-range attacks, as well as having any special abilities, or are more powerful when teaming up. Runes are used in much the same way as you would with magic. Some are exclusive to certain characters, but all perform differently. They can come in handy when encountering a tough situation, like a boss fight, or when facing certain doom. They can also be used in teaming up with certain characters in order to execute really neat-looking, powerful special attacks that are very effective against some foes. A new feature added that may help you in battle is the ability to speed up encounters so as to avoid the sheer awesomeness of grinding for levels. Personally, I'm old school, so I don't mind the grind. Then again, I'm not as mental as I used to be, so who knows? At some point, I may give it a whirl. You can also enable the ability to auto-battle your way through fights if the pressing of buttons no longer amuses you. This isn't something I recommend, but if you feel the need, permission granted. Beware the major battle sequences you will eventually encounter, where your army will appear as itty-bitty soldiers, taking on other armies in an all-out war. This is where you must play your cards right, as losing a character in battle is permanent. So, save often and reload as needed. The characters of Suikoden 1 and 2 play a major role in what makes these games interesting. They're all pretty memorable and will leave you with quite the impression of what it means to be individual, whether you like them or not. Here's to discovering the 108 stars of destiny in each game. Good luck. Both music and sound effects are incredible, with some of the most iconic sound effects ever used in an RPG, and two of the most inspiring and gripping soundtracks you will ever hear. However, I have noticed that a few of these sound effects sound a tad slower than the original ones, and the music isn't on par with the clarity of the original versions. Keep in mind, at default settings, the music is going to be a little on the low side. Even when turned up, it isn't as loud as the music from the PlayStation games. Either way, that familiar sharpness seems to be dulled, even if only by a little. To be fair, I have high-definition speakers, so I don't know if you will be able to hear the music in the same way. Have a listen for yourself. You can also listen to the music in the gallery menu under Sound Mode. Konami has also added footsteps when the main character walks or runs. This was never a thing in the PlayStation versions, so it may take you a bit to get used to hearing them. As for me, I'm not a fan. I feel as though it's too distracting, and because we don't have an option to lower the volume of these footsteps, I'll have to deal with it. The cool thing about hearing them is that they will change tone depending on what you're walking or running on. Stone floors, wood floors, and even the ground will all sound different from one another, and carpets will give off a dampened thud. Some other new sounds are in relation to the environment, such as flowing water, the sound of insects, and wind. Some sound effects from battles are now in HD. The challenge is pretty much on par with just about every entry-level RPG on Earth, and this in some cases will depend on how much you enjoy the grind, and tackling the option of fully completing both games. That said, for me, I'm old school and appreciate not only the challenge of making every attempt at collecting everything, but taking my time so as to be as powerful as I can be for what lies ahead. I don't always feel this way about every RPG out there, but with these two games I respect the art. Something else to make mention of, you can now adjust the difficulty to your desired preference. So feel free to increase your woes, or wear a diaper for extra comfort. As expected, movement of the main character when going to and fro, traversing the many lands, navigating menus, and even engaging in battle is as smooth as one would hope for. All is fluid without any hiccups. This is a no-brainer. Suikoden 1 and 2 are two of the best games in the series, so I imagine it would come very easily for anyone to eventually play through them again at some point simply because they are so enjoyable. Of course, if you didn't collect every Star of Destiny the first time around, you have a great reason to take another shot at it. One of my favorite new features is the ability to walk or run in 8 directions. This is something I wish both of the originals had. Better late than never, I suppose. Another new feature is having the ability to autosave, or what I should say is, the ability to autosave only when you enter an area with a journeyman orb. Some may find it welcoming, but quite honestly I find it was poorly implemented, as you can simply approach a save point and save manually. From what I understand, and this isn't something I have noticed, but more so heard from other people, Konami improved item management so as to make things more manageable. To be honest, I really don't know how they've done this, as it seems all the same to me, at least with my time in Suikoden 1. I haven't really jumped into Suikoden 2 yet, save for recording some gameplay, so I can't say what they've done there, if anything. What would have been nice is having space for an unlimited number of items in both games, or in the least, the ability to store so much more on each character. Alright, let's talk about this conversation log, something I believe many people will find useful. It gives you the ability to pin parts of conversations you have had with NPCs to save as reference points so you don't forget what you were doing. In a game like this is major when trying to fully complete the game, as you may need to go by a list of certain items or recall notes on other requirements in order to recruit specific characters. If you remember what I said about 100%ing the game, then you get just how great this is. The asking price for this game is $49.99 USD, which I believe is totally fair for what is being offered. If you haven't played these games yet, then what are you waiting for? You're in for quite the ride. This is Random Battle signing off, and until next time, stay random and battle on.